Welcome back, Heartland fans. If you're as passionate about Heartland as we are, then you're in the right place. This is your home for deep dives into the emotional moments, character arcs, and plot twists that keep us coming back to Heartland, season after season. Today, we're diving into something truly monumental, Ty Borden's grand return in Heartland Season 19, Episode 1. Yes, that is what I said. We've all been waiting, hoping, and dreaming about the return. It's finally here. But before we dive into this powerful episode, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe too, so you never miss a single update on Heartland, Ty and Amy's love story, and all the emotional moments that define this beloved series. To ensure that you are notified immediately upon the release of a new video, don't forget to press the notification bell. Now, let's go back in time and examine Ty's past, the emotional toll of his departure, and every memorable moment of his return. Before we get to the heart-stopping moment of Ty Borden's return, it's important to revisit where it all began and what we lost when he left. Ty wasn't just another character in Heartland, he was the soul of the show. One of the most beautiful transformations we've ever seen on television was Ty's journey from a troubled teenager sent to Heartland Ranch as part of his probation to a devoted veterinarian, husband, and father. His bond with Amy blossomed into one of the most beloved love stories in Canadian TV history. From rehabilitating their horses to resolving their own emotional wounds, they collectively overcame more obstacles than most couples do in a lifetime. Ty's sudden and tragic death at the beginning of Season 14 was more than just a shocking plot twist. It was an emotional earthquake. Devastated, the world's fans were. His absence left a gaping hole not just in the lives of the characters but in the hearts of viewers. For Amy, it was the loss of her soulmate. The absence of a father Lindy was just beginning to understand. And for all of us, it was the end of an era. Or so we thought. The story wasn't over yet, in true Heartland fashion. The lead-up to Ty's return in Season 19 has been filled with subtle hints, emotional flashbacks, and a growing sense that something big was coming. Over the past season, we've watched Amy slowly begin to heal. We've seen her reconnect with the land, her daughter, and even herself. But there's always been a piece of her heart missing, and the show hasn't shied away from showing that. The writers cleverly sprinkled emotional callbacks, voiceovers, and dream sequences that kept Ty's presence alive even in his absence. Season 18 ended with a cryptic scene. Amy in the barn, touching the place where she and Ty carved their initials. The wind picks up, the horses stir, and she hears a voice. Faint but unmistakably Ty's. This moment wasn't just poetic, it was prophetic. Season 19, Episode 1 opens with the morning mist rolling over the foothills, a symbolic new beginning. As Amy walks through the ranch, almost sensing a shift in the air, a familiar figure approaches from the distance. It's not a dream, it's not a hallucination, it's Ty Borden, alive, real, and standing in front of her. The moment Amy sees Ty again is nothing short of soul-shaking. She is frozen, her eyes wide, her lips trembling, and her breath caught somewhere between shock and overwhelming emotion for a split second. It's as if time itself has stopped. The man she mourned, the partner she grieved for every day, the father of her child she had to learn to live without. He's standing there, weathered but very much alive. Amy takes a cautious step forward and slowly extends her hand toward him, as if she is concerned that he will vanish as soon as she touches him. Ty follows suit. It also feels like electricity when their hands meet. Amy doesn't hold back as the tears pour down her face. All the grief, the confusion, the aching loneliness, everything spills out in one trembling, whispered word. Ty. Ty, also overcome with emotion, smiles softly at her and says, "I'm home." At that moment, Amy collapses into his arms, and the two embrace like their souls are fusing back together after years of being torn apart. The audience feels it too. Every memory, every shared hardship, every kiss, and every heartbreak rushing back in a tidal wave of emotion. This is more than just a reunion, it is the rebirth of everything that they meant to one another. However, it also raises 1,000 questions. For Amy, it's not just about love, it's about understanding where he's been and why he stayed away. This is the beginning of her emotional journey, which is marked by a need for the truth, wonder, relief, and heartbreak. While Amy is overwhelmed with emotion, another figure quietly approaches from the house, Lindy. Still small but older now, she's matured so much since we last saw her. Her tiny footsteps crunch softly on the gravel as she walks toward the man she's only seen in pictures and heard about in stories. When Ty hears her soft, cautious, "Mommy" voice, he turns. Then she looks up at him, unsure. "Lindy, this is your daddy," Amy whispers as she kneels next to her daughter. The air becomes heavy. Lindy's young mind is attempting to make sense of the situation as she looks at Ty with wide, curious eyes. Slowly, as if guided by instinct, she walks up to him and gently places her hand in his. "Are you really my daddy?" she asks, her voice soft but piercing through every heart watching. Ty's eyes well with tears as he crouches to meet her at eye level, nodding. "Yes, sweetheart. I've loved you from the moment you were born." Lindy smiles, a small, sweet, trusting smile, and wraps her arms around his neck. It is a time of purity, restoration, and unspoken comprehension. A child who never got the chance to know her father now finds safety in his embrace. A moment of full circle for Ty and a second chance for the family that was torn apart are provided by this scene, which is gentle yet profound. Jack observes from afar as the family tries to process what's happening. He's standing on the porch, gripping the railing tightly, eyes shaded beneath his cowboy hat. Jack has always been the steady rock, the grandfather, mentor, and silent guardian of Heartland. Even Jack is clearly shaken when he now sees Ty alive and walking across the yard toward him. He doesn't hurry. He doesn't speak at first. Instead, he looks Ty in the eyes as if searching for answers that words can't provide. Ty walks up to him slowly, nervously. "Jack," he says, voice thick with emotion. Jack finally speaks, his voice cracking slightly. "Son, I thought I buried you," I said. Then, without warning, he pulls Ty into a tight embrace, strong and trembling. "You have no idea what this family's been through," Jack whispers, "but having you back, it means everything." Jack's wisdom shines in the moments that follow. He doesn't demand explanations right away. Instead, he acknowledges the pain, the joy, and the miracle of this moment. Later, when the two sit alone on the porch with mugs of coffee and silence between them, Jack gives Ty a quiet nod and says, "Whatever you've been through, whatever happened, we'll get through it together just like we always have." His words become the emotional compass for the entire family, reminding everyone that healing begins with love, patience, and understanding. Lou's reaction is layered. She doesn't initially believe it when she arrives at the ranch and sees Ty through the window. "It can't be real," her rational mind screams. He's gone. She buried him. She mourned with Amy and the entire family. But when she steps into the room and sees Ty standing there with Amy and Lindy, everything changes. Her breath catches in her throat and her eyes fill with tears. She clutches her chest, overwhelmed by shock and joy. But beneath that joy is something deeper, conflict. Lou has always been fiercely protective of Amy and the family. She remembers the pain Ty's death caused, how she held Amy while she wept many nights, how she helped raise Lindy in his absence. Lou is relieved and furious now that he sees him here. She pulls Ty into a tight hug, but quickly pulls back, demanding, "Where have you been? Why did you not return? Do you know what you put us through?" The emotions are raw, but Lou isn't cold. She is devastated and seeking clarity. Eventually, as Ty begins to explain what really happened, Lou's tough exterior begins to crack. She sits beside Amy, holding her sister's hand, and whispers, I never thought we'd see him again. Maybe miracles do happen. Her hope is cautiously renewed, and she slowly allows herself to believe that the family can be whole again. The news of Ty's return sends Georgie rushing back to Heartland, skeptical but desperate for it to be true. When she sees him alive, tired, and holding Lindy in his arms, it all crashes down on her. Georgie doesn't speak right away. She simply walks up to him, her eyes locked onto his, tears brimming. Ty opens his arms, and Georgie falls into them, sobbing. It's the hug of a daughter to a father figure, one she thought she'd lost forever. Later, the two take a walk along the trail, the same one where Ty taught her how to handle wild horses. They talk openly and honestly. Georgie opens up about her struggles, her victories, and how she always carried a piece of him with her. Ty, in turn, tells her how proud he is of the woman she's become. This scene is powerful not only because of the love they share, but because it shows just how much Georgie has grown and how Ty's influence continues to shape her path, even after all these years. Tim always played the role of the tough guy, the no-nonsense father, the stubborn cowboy who hides his emotions behind sarcasm and discipline. But when Ty returns, we see a different side of him. At first, Tim is distant, pacing in the barn, trying to make sense of it all. He's angry, furious even. He storms up to Ty and demands answers, his voice rough and full of emotion. "You left us, damn it! You left Amy! You left your daughter!" His anger is a shield, a way to protect himself from the deeper wound, the pain of losing someone he had come to see as a son. But as the truth unfolds and Ty explains why he had to stay away, whether for protection, survival, or reasons beyond his control, Tim begins to crack. He realizes that the pain wasn't just his, that Ty too suffered in silence. The two men eventually sit in the barn, side by side, surrounded by the tools and smells of the life they once shared. Tim doesn't say much, just a quiet, "You've got a lot to make up for, but it's damn good to have you back." That one line says everything. Behind the tough exterior, Tim's heart has always beat for his family. Additionally, seeing Ty come back helps him rekindle his love for her. As the sun begins to set over Heartland, casting a warm golden glow over the ranch, Amy and Ty finally find a moment to be alone. The chaos, the shock, the reunions, it all melts into the background as they sit together on the back porch. The same place they used to talk late into the night about horses, dreams, and family. Now they face each other again, older, changed by loss and time, but still bound by something deeper than words: love. There's a long silence at first. Ty looks at Amy, his face a blend of sorrow and longing, while Amy clutches a mug of tea with trembling hands. She finally breaks the silence with a quiet question. "Where were you?" Her voice is soft, but her eyes are filled with pain. Ty exhales deeply. "I wanted to come back every single day, but I couldn't. After the shooting, they thought I was dead. I almost was. But I woke up in a remote facility, isolated, with no way to contact anyone. The people who saved me didn't know who I was. I didn't even know who I was for a while. I was recovering, confused. It took time before I remembered everything, and when I did, I was terrified that it had been too long, that I'd ruined everything." Amy's eyes well up again. "You didn't ruin anything. You're here now. That's all that matters." But there's still weight in her heart. "Do you know what it was like, watching you die, telling our daughter stories because she never got to know you? I mourned you, Ty, every single day." Ty reaches for her hand as her voice cracks. "I know, and I'm so sorry, Amy. I can't even fathom the agony I caused. If I could take it all back, I would. I would have fought harder to get back to you sooner. But I never stopped loving you, not for 1 second." Amy looks down at their hands. "It's not just about love anymore, Ty. It's about trust, about healing, about figuring out how we rebuild everything that was broken." Ty nods slowly. "Then let's start here, together, one day at a time." He pulls something small from his pocket, an old photograph, faded but precious. It's a picture of Amy, Ty and baby Lindy, taken just days before the tragedy. Amy stares at it, tears spilling freely. In that quiet, sacred moment, Amy leans into Ty, resting her head on his shoulder. There's still hurt, still questions, but there's also warmth and hope. Reuniting is not perfect. It's raw, real, and beautifully human. And in that moment, they make an unspoken promise to, fully, not just as lovers, but as soulmates who have endured the unthinkable and still chosen love. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if Ty Borden's return touched you as much as it did us for Heartland Breakdowns. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment. Until next time, see you in the next one.